Which, speaking about the draft, let's get into some mock drafts, man. As I think I might have mentioned it last pod, I was gonna plan on cooking up some mock drafts, which is why I low key had to do this solo because my co-hosts don't know shit about football. And honestly, I need y'all to call them out on that in the description below. Tell them to fucking pick up a book, watch some highlights, do whatever you gotta do. Cause how you in a sports pod and not be committed to sports? But going back to what I was saying, let me actually pull up my mock. You guys will obviously see it on the screen with my super duper cool editing skills. So let's do this. So obviously I did my shit on PFF. We could have done anything. Another thing important to note: this mock draft was made with no trades in mind. So with that context being said, I mean, let's go over this. So we got number one at Tennessee, Cam Ward, no brainer. Honestly, some of these picks are no brainers. Just Jesus, y'all. Allergies are getting me. And also eating, bro. I just ate not too long ago. But bear with me. When it comes to Cam Ward going one, Abdul Carter two, Travis Hunter three, I think those are a given. And like, look, I think number three, that one was I was kind of in the middle between going Travis and Shador because obviously with the reports coming out that Shador's having one last private workout with the Giants, I just don't think it's enough. I just still think that it's all nothing but a smokescreen. Maybe if anything, I could see the Giants try and use that as leverage. Maybe teams are going to talk about trading up, try to get some draft capital. But if you do stay put, I still think Travis Hunter is the move. You sign Jameis, you sign Russell Wilson. I think also on top of that, having a Shador Sanders is kind of like just being like a what the fuck move. Like, my thing is, if you're going to get Shador, why did you sign Russ? And I think Russ was sort of the commitment of the Giants saying, like, we trying to win now. But what do I know? Could be a similar situation with the Falcons. Actually, no. I actually have a different team that simulates the Falcons more perfectly. But that's about it for the Giants. Now, number four, I have McMillan going to the Pats. Listen, I know they signed Stephon Diggs, but you guys got to realize, like, when you actually dive into the details of the contract, it seems like it's a more like 1 year like prove it deal. And then it has an option of like those extent with those incentives, making it seem as big as the deal that was originally first reported. And so that's why I still having them taking McMillan. Listen, I understand this year's draft in terms of receivers isn't crazy, but I mean, obviously, if Travis Hunter doesn't go to the Giants, then obviously I think that New York is probably going to go with Travis Hunter. But that's just where I see that's a blaring need. I think another blaring need is going to be offensive line. Although, offensive line, I feel like at this early in the draft, I just don't see anybody worth it. I think if they really wanted to go the offensive line approach, probably trade back, get somebody later in the round, or maybe stock up in the second round. There's a lot of good value in the second round, I feel like, this year. And so, with that position, or actually not even, just more like developmental guys, maybe high potential guys. But in terms of like, plug and play starters, not too many of those guys, which is why I see McMillan going. And obviously, he has his, questionable moments like, oh, I don't watch film or whatnot. Part of me likes to think it's a smokescreen. Um, I may have sources, boots on the ground at U of A telling me, and just from what I've been told, McMillan is legit. He nice. Um, Also keep in mind Steve Smith. I saw his analysis of him, and he's not too high on him. And granted, I mean that's fucking Steve Smith. Even though he's not prone to all criticism, he's gotten some choices wrong in terms of evaluation. But with that being said, it is Steve Smith. So it kind of be hard for me to not to just ignore what he's got to say and not be like, hold on, Steve Smith might be cooking. And so that's why I chose McMillan. Mason Graham to the Jags, also a no-brainer. Listen, that defense was abysmal, man. You got so many blaring needs. You could either go either way. You can go cornerback here. You can go D-line here. Also a receiver. You know, you get rid of Christian Kirk. You only have Brian Thomas Jr. And Brian Thomas Jr. was a great pick out of last year's draft. Real sleeper right there. I really like that foundation. Obviously, I think the Jags with Travis Hunter would have been great. That's a great fit because then you're really able to utilize him. And in terms of like what Travis was saying, was he was trying to do? He was trying to play both ways. The Jags would have been perfect to utilize him both ways. You know, have him on the defense. You cook up some offensive packages for him, and to go alongside Brian Thomas Jr. with Trevor Lawrence. And but this Mason Graham pick, I don't hate it either, man. That D line needs to be, that whole defense need to be buffed up, bro. Like to go from the AFC, what was it? AFC divisional round to where you're at now. There's a reason you fired Doug Peterson and you got Liam Cohen and crew. But it'll be interesting to see because obviously there's not too much to go off of in terms of who the Jags are going to draft because from my understanding, the GM that they hired comes from the Sean McVay, like not Sean McVay, but that Rams front office tree. And from what I know, like the Rams are very unconventional. They're not very like. I guess there's a way you can tell who they want, but they don't do like pre-draft visits, top 30 visits, or anything like that. So I couldn't really look at that and see like, oh, who are they high on or whatnot? Because there's just so many blaring leads, and it's a new, and you don't know who they're gonna get, especially with a new head coach, because you can honestly see them reaching or going for somebody with a position you thought was solidified, but culture is gonna come to play here, and obviously I went with Mason Graham. I think it fits perfectly for them, and yeah, I think it's hard to see them picking anybody else. With number 6, Las Vegas, going Genty. Now, hear me out on this one. I understand they have a blaring need at cornerback, but you guys got to understand, this is the Raiders we're talking about. The Raiders ain't doing shit. You really think they're going to make a logical decision here? I don't think so. I'm just keeping it real. Like, I still think they're going to find. Because I could see them going for like a Will Johnson. I could have seen them go for a Will Johnson here, man. Or a Jade Burren. But obviously, it's the Raiders. So, and you hear about them talking about, oh, my son wants me to drop Genty. Like, even then, I just think that Genty is a Raiders pick. Because they don't have anybody at running back, Nobody notable. So they do. It's not like they're not filling up a need for their team. It's just that they have a bigger need at cornerback. But obviously, with the this morning, reports came out that Jalen Ramsey and the Dolphins are going to be looking for a trade. That's what I'm saying. Is I think the Raider. I think he's going to go to the Raiders. I think Jalen Ramsey's going to go to the Raiders. So that'll definitely help them fill that need for now. But whether that'll be a good pickup or not, that remains to be seen. But I'm just going about it as if I'm the Raiders, trying to put my Raiders thinking cap on, knowing, listen, it's the Raiders. This is a Raiders pick, man. Now you got the Jets at number 7 going Will Campbell. I'm gonna keep it to y'all straight. They need offensive line. Aaron Rodgers didn't have fucking shit as an offensive line last year, and with Justin Fields at the helm, obviously he's more mobile, but you're gonna have to beef up that O line, and I think Will Campbell will obviously fill that role pretty nicely in that Aaron Glenn motivated team. Um, but yeah, moving on to number 8, you got Jade Barron. I think the Panthers, they just need an overwhelming need at everything right now. Listen, it's no brainer. They were doing dog shit at the beginning. They were trying to bench Bryce. That whole team was just a full on clusterfuck with David Tepper at the helm at owner, man. So I like the cornerback Jade Barron because I believe they got rid of Caleb Farley. Obviously, they got J.C. Horn. I mean, he a little bit injury prone, but I still think he's a really solid guy and he's gonna be really great in this league. But you need somebody else to complement him, and that's why I chose Jade Barron, guy from Texas, little guy I like to. I think we'll plug in pretty nicely to that system. Then we got number 9, and this is what I was telling y'all. This is like the Atlanta situation. Shador to New Orleans. Listen, with the report coming out of nowhere that Derek Carr might not play, needs shoulder surgery, and apparently the whole Saints locker room like not like being shocked by this because he came out of nowhere. I could totally see him going, "Hey, let's get Shador, man. Shador in the black and gold. It's New Orleans. How could you not? Chris Olave, you know." But another thing I could see is Aaron Rodgers going to the Saints. That's another one. See, part of me, and I saw this on Big Ben's pod, part of me thinks that the reason why we didn't, or that Aaron Rodgers hasn't signed with the Steelers is because he's looking for other opportunities. He's seeing us as his like last option, which is really weird. But hey, fuck it. That it is what it is, bro. I already went on my rant about how mediocre and lackluster we're being looked at, man, in terms of a laughing stock of the league. But New Orleans is somewhere I can see Aaron Rodgers go too. Now, if he doesn't go, this is where I see the Saints going with Shador. And you're thinking like, oh, but Carr's only going to be gone for the year, so why would they pick Shador so highly if they already have a QB? Listen, y'all, this is the Saints. They've picked a QB every single year, man. It don't matter who's their quarterback now. They'll probably choose one again right now, and they'll probably choose another one next year, for all I know. And so that's why I think that Shador is gonna go. And I know there's the argument like you don't pick a quarterback that you like, you pick a quarterback that you love. But if you're the Saints, the question is, what are you gonna do if Derek Carr can't play? Are you gonna run it with Spencer Rattler at the helm? And if you're gonna look into free agency, who are you gonna get now? Like, it's not like if I'm not a fan of a team who has been in QB carousel for a while too. Like it takes one. Like my team is in a similar situation in terms of QB. Like I'm just saying, Shador right there. Now, I don't want them to pick it, but I just think it makes sense in that sense when you put the Saints thinking cap on. Now at number 10, you got Malaki Starks going to the Bears. Listen, y'all, this pick is simple, simply from the fact that motherfucking that one game when the Bears played against the Commanders and that Hail Mary that shifted all sorts of momentum for the Bears and just had them going downhill. Tyreek Stevenson, I don't care, my boy, you fucked up and you changed the whole momentum, bro. So Malaki Starks, it makes sense to go there. Now, granted, another pick I would have thought is running back because running back is another need that I feel like the Bears need. Obviously, I think in a perfect world, if Genti doesn't go 6, I see him going number 10 to the Bears. But because I think the Raiders are going to Raider and go with Genti, I think the next best step is going Malaki Starks. And I understand this is going against everything. You have an offensive minded head coach in Ben Johnson. So you're probably thinking, aren't you going to go offense? No. Because that defense still needs some reinforcements, bro. And I think with that Hail Mary type play, you got to look a little bit harder, take a harder look at yourself in the mirror and be like, low key, we need a DB. We need a safety. It don't help. And it don't hurt to get somebody like Lucky Starks be your future guy. You let him grow and flourish. And I like that pick for Chicago. Now, we got the Niners at number 11. I got him taking Armand Membo from Missouri. And This shouldn't be a surprise to anybody in terms of offensive line because that is a blaring need that they need just because they lost hella people in free agency. Trent isn't getting any younger. He's only getting older. So you and on top of that, you got the Purdy contract looming. So you're not gonna have as much cap space available. So you're gonna have to look towards the draft. Obviously, you got Puny, who has been fantastic for them, but you need more than that. And so kind of sucks because this draft isn't very like it doesn't have a lot of depth in this position, but I think this is about the best you can go about for the Niners going with Armand Membo kind of plugging into that system. Number 12. Listen, y'all, I understand they have other needs, but like this is Dallas, y'all. This is Jerry Jones. You got to understand. Jerry Jones is going to do Jerry Jones things, which means he going to make a Jerry Jones pick. And so when I'm looking at this and I'm saying, what is a Jerry Jones pick? Matthew Golden is that guy. Think about it. He's a businessman. You need flashiness. You need something that's going to be talked about. He want to spark conversations. And think about it. Matthew Golden being from Texas, now being a Cowboy, it just makes sense. And he was talking all that trash about being the fastest receiver, speed guy. Like I think that's a Jerry Jones guy. I understand that there are other receivers they could have taken or other needs, but it's the Cowboys. Do y'all really think they're gonna make actual good decisions that's gonna make them win the Super Bowl? Like, be so for real for me, y'all. It's not happening, and so that's why I chose Golden. Now we got Dolphins at 13, and I got him taking Josh Simmons. Terren Armstead retired. Tua got CTE, and you gotta look out for that man. So if you're not taking offensive line in the first round, what are you doing as a Dolphins fan? Like, you might as well find a new team because that's just like the biggest red flag and the biggest sign that of them saying, yeah, we don't care about our QB. Like, let's be so for real. And kind of like I was talking about with the Niners, not very good in terms of depth of this year's draft, but it's better than nothing. And when you're in the position that the Dolphins are in, you gotta do bet. You gotta make do with the cards that you're dealt. Now moving on to 14 with the Colts, I got him getting more Tyler Warren, man. Let's be real. I know they mentioned they wanted to bring QB competition. I just don't think they can choose anybody at this point in time in this, with where they're picking at 14. So I think the next best thing is to get a good tight end and one in Tyler Warren. Listen, y'all, Penn Penn State got good tight ends. Insert Pat Fryermuth. The youth. He been cooking for us. And I think Tyler Warren has the chance to do the same thing with that Indianapolis Colts offense. You got Michael Pittman Jr., Alex Pierce, Josh Downs, and I don't know who else. But you pair Tyler Warren and with Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson. I'm not gonna say they're scary, but Tyler Warren makes that like obviously you need somebody to sling it. But that offense could be good. It could be a lot better than what they were at last year. So that's why I chose them there. Now you got Atlanta going Jahad Campbell. You know that linebacker core, you gotta beef it up. I know they traded for Judon. I know they've been beefing up the defense from last year, bringing in what was it, Simmons? Uh, no, that wasn't. Did they bring in Simmons? I can't even remember. They brought Bates. I know that happened, and he's been phenomenal for them. But adding somebody like a John Campbell, further solidifying, that defense, especially given in some of those games where those games were choked away. Granted, you don't got Kirk Cousins at quarterback anymore, so maybe you don't have to rely on the defense too much. But you are putting in a rookie. Now he is going into year two, sat behind, played a bit, but I still think you're gonna have to rely on your defense to sort of close out games right now, as you sort of work your way with Penix during this trial phase with them. But I like that pick. And we got number 16 for the Cards, Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. The Cards, I don't even know what they're doing. Like, I kind of see them like this team, like they're just kind of like, eh, towards the bottom. But also, they gonna do, I just enough to be like, okay, they not like trash, but we never gonna take y'all seriously. Like y'all the little kids in the playground, you know? Like we not really gonna see you as a threat. Like we'll let you vibe with us, but that's about it. Because Arizona, man, I feel like the thing with them is, can Kyler take that next step? And if that doesn't happen, you're gonna have to look at your defense. You're gonna have to buckle up on defense, and you know, obviously getting a pick like Isaiah Simmons all those years back who hasn't worked out. Some of these picks been questionable, man. And you did also spend the last 2 years picking offense. I think it makes sense this year. Yeah, you kind of switch things up and you go on the defensive side of things. And so you got 17, you got Jalon Walker, linebacker Georgia, going to the Bungles. And I think this is a no brainer. Their defense was just non existent. To be honest, I could think of a whole lot of other needs you could go. You can go with anybody here on the D. Honestly, when it comes to the Bengals, you could choose any defensive position, and I'm gonna tell you, hey, you're good, bro. Like you did a good job because that defense was so abysmal, man. I think they were ranked like 34th. Like there's only 32 teams in the NFL. They probably ranked 34th, and I'm just like, hey, bro, y'all had to fire that defensive coordinator for a reason. You're about to lose Trey Hendrickson because your VP is a fucking dumbass and she's just running her mouth off like nothing, trying to piss him off. And but what can I say? Life is great as a Steelers fan because when the Bungles are up in the dumpster fire, then we good. So I don't give a shit about how the Bengals do. I don't care if it's a good or bad pick. If it's a bad pick, that's better for me. So that's why I chose Walker. But he's a great prospect. I think he could really solidify that linebacker core. But that has yet to be seen, depending on what the Bengals do. Because they could take an edge and just be like, yeah, we're shipping your fucking ass, Trey Hendrickson, out of town. Like, goodbye. Could happen. 18, you got the Seahawks going Tyler Booker. Now, they have other needs. I would say wide receiver is another one, but I feel like they're gonna focus on getting a wide receiver in the second round. I don't think it's gonna be a first rounder. Um, Offensive line, I'll be honest, it's the Seahawks, bro. I feel like it's an interesting spot because you just traded away Geno, you bring in Sam Darnold. Can go either way. I like to compare the Seahawks to the position that we were in, that the Steelers were in when they brought in Mitch Trubisky and then drafted Kenny Pickett. Like that's where I feel like they are. But they're obviously gonna go Sam Darnold. And so literally they could go for anybody here. Either way, whoever they pick doesn't matter. I don't see the Seahawks going far because you traded away, you got rid of DK. You know, Grubb. I'm gonna be honest. There are some people in there intentionally trying to like destroy that franchise, and so for that reason, I had to choose Booker because I'm like guard is probably a safer pick for them. You know, you beef up that all line, or if you already have a good guard, well then perfect. This is the Seahawks. This is a Seahawks pick. Why would you make a good pick? That's my 2 cents. A little bit of Niners bias in me, but you know what I'm saying? That's the best part about these drafts is you can go a million different ways with them. Now you got the Bucks going with Mike Green edge out of Marshall. Um, to me, this was just a matter of, listen, man, you got to beef up that defense, get an edge rusher, get a guy who can get to the quarterback, get some QB pressure. Let the rest of your cornerbacks cook, man. Let the linebacker core cook, man. But as long as you got the edge, putting a lot of pressure onto the quarterback, it makes a lot of these guys' jobs easier. And with the stellar Bucks defense, I think this could really help them, push past the first round of the playoffs. Then you got the Broncos going Omarion Hampton. And this one, I feel like, is a no brainer. Broncos have a need at running back, and they also have a need at receiver. But here's the thing, right? I think we talked about this. The wide receiver this year is just not as deep. You could probably go and get somebody like in the second, third, later round. Now the running backs, they're nice. I mean, you got um Genty, Hampton, and you got Scatterbo. But in my eyes, I think this is really the perfect fit for the Broncos having a halfback. I mean, Hampton was nice. He's been creeping up on boards. He's been having like a lot of visits, like top 30 visits. But I think he's gonna fall over to the Broncos. I don't think anybody else with the need at running back is gonna really trade up or try to select them. So I like this pick. Pair him up with Bo Nix and the rest of that offense and a Sean Payton system. And I think the Broncos are gonna be very scary with Hampton in the backfield. Now, moving on to my Pittsburgh Steelers. We got Jackson Dart. You know what I'm saying? Look, I already said it. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is gonna sign with us. Now the question is this a reach? Probably. Most definitely. But what can you do? Because if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you got too much of a high horse. You genuinely thought that you could lowball Justin Fields and he was going to come back to y'all at your price. Not realizing the fucking Pittsburgh Steelers are a laughing stock now. Nobody is going to take no hometown discount in a high tax Pennsylvania. No. This is no longer the Steelers of the past. This is the Steelers who are okay with mediocrity, who are okay with just having a winning season and leaving it at just that. And so, what better yet to mix up with this questionable front office decision making than with another questionable decision making in Jackson Dart? Listen, we did it with Kenny Pickett. Granted, that was a Kevin Colbert pick, but I think with just the way things are, you got to go with the Jackson Dart. Because are you really going to run it back with Mason Rudolph? I think if you run it back with Mason Rudolph, you're just signaling to like that's the pick that you make if you're trying to tank for like an Arch Manning the next year. Which, listen, I wouldn't say I'm against because the draft is in Pittsburgh, like storylines and everything makes sense, but it's just gonna come out as very hypocritical considering you were very much adamant about winning now, and so that's why I'm like, nah, man, Jackson Dart is the pick. Not my favorite, but it's the most necessary based on our needs. Then you got 22 Chargers, Luther Burden the third. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna just say it. You need wide receiver. Mike Williams ain't doing shit, bro. I'm telling y'all right now. He was on my Pittsburgh Steelers. He didn't do nothing. He didn't do nothing on the Jets. And listen, for all I know, it could be the system. Like he was schemed up open a couple of times, and CTE Arthur Smith and CTE Wilson were not throwing to him. And I don't even know why, but I could just go off based of what I saw. You give Justin Herbert another weapon outside of Will McConkley. Why not Luther Burden the third out of Missouri? Guy can do it all. Another nice weapon for Justin Herbert. So that's why I had to go with my Chargers, man. Because I mean, you have Dobbins in the backfield. You signed Najee um, in the offseason, so you got your running back situation figured out. So why not really solidify your wide receiver core, especially since you didn't trade for anybody in the offseason? And that's been just a blaring need with Quentin Johnston just seeming not to work out really by all accounts. So yeah, I got Green Bay going Will Johnson. I feel like a lot of people have them going. I mean, with Jair Alexander up in the air, could be hitting free, like he could be cut or just anything like that. I think you got to look towards the future, and Will Johnson's going to be that guy for the Packers, a set and cornerstone, DB for honestly the selective future because I think Eric Stokes didn't work out all those years back. So you got to run it back with somebody. Why not be or Will Johnson? Sorry, I was looking at number 24, which we'll get into. The Vikings going with Cam Scatabo. And Listen, Cam Scatterbo was rising through draft boards, and honestly, I think the Vikings were one of the teams really interested in him, and so I totally see this happening. Obviously, you have Aaron Jones in the backfield, so why not pair him up, get a two-piece with somebody like a Cam Scatterbo, who has shown to be a workhorse, a fucking tank, as all means, or in other words. I like that duo. You pair him, what's his name? JJ McCarthy with Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, and then a backfield of Aaron Jones and Cam Scatterbo in a Kevin O'Connell system. Hey, yo, I think I'm cooking there. That's all I'm saying. Then you got the Texans going with Kelvin Banks Jr., which, I mean, when you trade away Lermy Tunsil, I mean, that just becomes your biggest blaring need. And this is honestly the best that they can do. So, and even with that being said, I still think that the Texans are going to win the South. But in terms of having a deep playoff run, I just don't know. I mean, your line is cooked, bro. Like, CJ Stroud, you're going to be fighting for his life, man. But why not get somebody that for the future you can start and grow and learn it as the games go by? And hopefully he could be, useful but towards by the end of the season. And so, moving on there, we got 26, Demetrius Knight Jr. from South Carolina, the Gamecocks linebacker. Listen, man, the Rams love their defensive guys, and that's one thing I know. And Demetrius Knight Jr. seems like a guy that would fit in the Rams system, man. Sean McVay guy. What is there not to like about Demetrius Knight Jr.? Obviously, they got some dogs on that defense. You got, man, who do they even have no more? I gotta relook at their roster, but having a guy like Demetrius Knight Jr. further solidifying the depth and even honestly being a real key centerpiece, I honestly think that it's hard to go wrong uh, with this pick. Obviously, it goes without saying, wide receiver would be another pick for them or what another need, but I think you can go with somebody later in the rounds for that. Then you got Baltimore going with Donovan Ezuraku. And I gotta wrap this up because these allergies are fucking killing me right now. An edge guy. Listen, the defense need an edge guy, somebody in the trenches. Donovan, I feel like matches that. From Boston, he could fit that. Baltimore culture sort of fit that they're looking for in a John Harbaugh like team. Um, then at 28, you got the Lions going James Pierce Jr. Edge, edge, edge. Listen, listen, yo. Aiden Hutchinson's absence was felt. So you need another guy in there for when he's not there. And who better than James Pierce Jr.? I know they traded for that one dude from the Browns, but I'm gonna be honest, he didn't really do much. He was just like oh, I'm happy to be here sort of guy. So having a real guy in that defense, really go alongside what's his name? See, this is why these allergies are killing me, bro. Aiden Hutchinson, that's what's his name. I think it really makes that Lions defense really scary, and seems like a Dan Campbell kind of guy. Now you got Washington going with Michael Williams. You got Bills going Kenneth Grant, Kansas City going Gray Zabel, and the Eagles going Siobhan Ravel. I'm gonna go over these pretty quickly because these teams are in the latter half. Let's be real. A lot of these teams, they're winning teams. They know what they're doing. Clearly, it don't matter who they pick because they're always going to be on that top. Outside of the Commanders, man, with that Michael Williams pick, the edge, goes without saying, that defense needs to be buffed up. You literally was relying on Jaden Daniels, the Messiah, to really carry you guys. That offense was so amazing. And obviously, you beef it up more with the Debo Samuel and some other trades like Laremy Tunsil. And now the question is, you got to get your guys on defense. And I feel like Michael Williams is a Dan Quinn guy. And that's why I think he fits perfectly in Washington. The Bills, Kenneth Grant, got to get that defense up. Defense, defense, defense. Can never go wrong with defense, man. I know you got blaring needs in offense, but I'd like to think you have Josh Allen, so he can honestly work with anybody, elevate anybody. So not too big of a need, but that's why I chose Kenneth Grant to the Bills. Also, Von Miller, bro. Like, for all I know, he should be retired. He's old. And then Gray Zabel. I mean, you could have gone center here, but I was like, it's the Chiefs, bro. Who the fuck are they gonna get? Like, literally, they can find anybody, man, and they can cook up. They could probably find somebody later in the seventh round, and he's probably gonna be like a key contributor in the Super Bowl, man. That's just how it works with the Chiefs. So honestly, that's why I said a North Dakota State guy. I could see him fitting, plays in the cold, fits with the Kansas City culture, environment. I feel like that's a great pick there. Then you got the Eagles going Chevelle Revel. You lose Darius Slay. Um, Having somebody from East Carolina, a little smaller school, fits perfect. Sort of like what they did with oh, what's his name, bro? I'm trying to remember the rookie corner, me playing lights out, lining up against Darius Slay. But see, that's just my brain telling me it's cooked, and I gotta wrap up this show. So, with that being said, Siobhan Revel to the Eagles, and that's pretty much it for my mock draft, bro. Like, I think I cooked. Obviously, I didn't account any trades. These are just my approach was putting on my GM thinking cap, not really going about. I guess there was a mix of like seeing what their GMs would think, and then also kind of thinking like, how would I go about this as well. So, I did a little bit of both, but y'all let me know that I cook, that I not. Did I gotta let take away my apron and chef hat, or should I keep it and get elevated? But y'all let me know. But let's compare some mock drafts. Obviously that was my mock draft, but we're gonna react to two of my boys' mock drafts, and then we shall wrap up this episode. So we've got one of my boys' mock draft, which is Andrew. By the way, if y'all hear little kids screaming, bro, I got like some fucking 3-year-olds camping out my window, bro, and they will not stop staring into my window, bro. Like, I have tried to tell them, like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Fucking bitch ass kids. Anyways, with that being said, if y'all hear that, I apologize for that. Listen, kids are gonna be kids. Kids are gonna be little degenerates. And that's just how it goes. That's just life. We move on and we make do with what we got. So, holy shit. Wait. Okay. I'm already viewing. All right. You guys can obviously see this on your screen, but I'm barely looking into this mock, and holy smokes, we got some things to unward. So, all right. He's got the Pats going Will Campbell. He's got Will Johnson going to the Raiders. Um, Granted, he made this before the whole Jalen Ramsey news came out. So, but I'm thinking he's still thinking the Raiders are gonna go there. Then you got Tyler Warren going to the Jets, which I don't hate. I think that could be elite. You pair him up with Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson. That could be a nasty offensive combo. Then you got the Saints going with McMillan. Some guy to go alongside Shaheed and Olave. Obviously, you got the Slant King on his way out the league, bro. He's cooked, and I don't hate it. I don't hate McMillan to the Saints. I actually like it. Um, but it's that quarterback who they're gonna have to throw it to him. Then he's got his Bears going Ashton Genty, and obviously if the Raiders go with the cornerback, I do like this pick. I mean, I did mention that Genty would go to the Bears if it wasn't with the Las Vegas. He also has Golden going to the Cowboys, man. And he was probably thinking, listen, Jerry Jones pick right there. So, hey, he was cooking with that pick. And then, oh, he's got the Niners going with Walter Nolan D line, which I don't hate because honestly, the Niners do need the D line. I just thought they would need tackle as well because you have a pretty aging what's it called, offensive line, but yeah, defense defensive line is probably a bigger need, especially since missed out on the Bosa brothers reunion. You know, Nick Bosa can't really stay on the field, so you need somebody who can stay on the field and be healthy. You just have a lot of plug and play guys that it seems like has not been working out as well for the Niners, which means he's got Armen Membo going to the Dolphins. And I obviously think the Dolphins need tackles, so I'm with you there. Coast, he's got the Colts going with Colston Loveland, and that's because he got Tyler Warren going to the Jets. And I'm with you. Colts could use a tight end. Colston Loveland, I don't hate it. I just don't think the Jets are going to go with Tyler Warren. I think Tyler Warren's going to fall to the Colts. Then he's got Mike Green going to the Falcons. Hey, Falcons could use an edge guy. So I don't hate it. Yeah, Derek Harmon going to Cardinals. I mean, they also need a D line, so it could go either way. Derek Harmon, Walter Nolan. Um, I just think Walter Nolan falls to the Cards, but hey, that's cool. You got James Pierce Jr. edge for the Bengals, so he probably thinks that they're not gonna re-sign Trey Hendrickson and they're gonna trade him. So can't hate that pick. Gray Zabel, to the Seahawks. I could see it happening for sure. I mean, listen, I chose a guard, but tackle for sure. You know, tackle could be one of those things that the Seahawks could get, but like I was saying, it don't matter because Seahawks ain't making a deep playoff run or anything like that. Then he got Jahan Campbell going to the Bucks, and he has Campbell falling. I had the Falcons choosing Campbell, but honestly, I can't be mad at that pick. Linebacker is also a good pick for the Bucks right now. So even though they have great guys right now, it don't hurt to keep stacking up the linebackers, and it seems like that would be a great fit for the Bucks. He also has Hampton to the Broncos, which I feel like that's just the census there. Like Genty isn't gonna fall to them, so the next best guy would be Hampton, and he's a good Champagne fit. Now hold on, you got fucking Shador going to Pittsburgh? I mean, I don't hate it. It's just how? How is he gonna fall? How is he gonna fall to the Steelers? Hey, for all intents and purposes, I hope he cooks. I hope he cooks with that pick. He got Kenneth Grant going to the Chargers. That's good. Trey Amos to the Packers. Absolutely cornerback. Big need. Trayvon Henderson to the Vikings. I didn't see that one coming, but that could be. He had to spice things up. I could see that. Obviously, Texans going tackle. He's got Josh Simmons going to them instead, which, yeah, I could see that. I like that pick. He got Carson Schwessinger. I don't know how you say that, bro. Linebacker going for the Rams. I personally like Demetrius Knight, but it makes sense. You keep the hometown guy at home in LA, going from UCLA to the LA Rams. Donovan, the edge guy from Boston College to the Baltimore Ravens. We both had the Ravens choosing him, so honestly, Andrew Cook there. I gotta give him props there. And he got Tyler Booker going to the Lions, which that is definitely interesting, but I don't hate it. It doesn't hurt to keep beefing up that offensive line, build the trenches up. You know the Lions love building up the trenches, and why not have them more further solidified than what they are now? But keep in mind, this guy's a Bears fan, so like he could just be picking like fucking shit show picks for the Lions just because they're the Lions. So you gotta keep that in mind. You got Siobhan Ravel to the Bills, Kelvin Banks Jr. to the Chiefs. Not a bad pick, especially since Gray Zabel went before in his draft. But that's just one thing to go in mind because Yeah, he had. Okay, I see what's going on. So he has Gray Zabel higher than Kelvin Banks Jr. And I don't hate it. I think the reason I went Kelvin Banks with the Texans is because he's from Texas, bro. And it's like, I think I could fit fine for the Texans. But Josh Simmons is also could be a good pick as well. You know, Ohio State guy, got the Ohio State connection like CJ Stroud. So for sure, man. Then you got the Eagles going with Amika Igbuka. See, that's an interesting one because my question is, you have Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. So my question is, what are you gonna do with? Does that mean you're gonna move on from AJ Brown? You gonna look to move from that contract? Which honestly could be the case, but he's just so good. I mean, not I don't hate it. I just think you can get a corner. But then again, you did choose Cooper DeJean and bro, I can't believe I'm like botching and like forgetting this guy's name. He won in the first, bro, and he's actually fucking good too. He's a good cornerback. Like this is disrespectful on my end. But hey, that's his mock draft. Let me know what you guys think of his mock draft. We do got one more mock draft to take a look at here. This is my other boy's mock draft, Rahul's, and let's take a look. Let's see, did he cook? He got he got Trav going to the Browns and Carter going to the Giants instead. So he switched those two up. He got Campbell and Graham going, okay, Gentry to the Raiders. See, that's what I'm saying. Gentry to the Raiders, bro. Like, that's a Raiders pick. He got Membo. Oh, he got them going tackle. Yeah, yeah. That seems right. Because I had Will Campbell going there, but you know what? Membo could be it. And that's just because I had Membo going to the Niners, but he got McMillan to Carolina. Honestly, don't hate that pick. Panthers need a wide receiver. Shador to the Saints. I'm with you there. Oh, Tyler Warren to the Bears. That's an interesting one because you have Komet. And it's not like he's the greatest ever, but like, I don't know if the Bears necessarily need like a crazy tight end. I think they have other needs. And then he's got Will Johnson going to the Niners. Honestly, yeah, you need Ward's gone, Hufang is gone. Yeah, you got your whole secondary, man. You got to revamp it. So for sure, don't hate that. Walter Nolan, D line out of Ole Miss. I just don't think that's happening. I still like Golden more. Like I said, unless this means they're moving on from Michael Parsons. That's like them saying, fuck Micah Parsons, we're moving on from you. But I think wide receiver is still the play. I don't like that Dolphins pick. Jade Barron, I think you have a bigger need. Like, even if you're moving on from Jalen Ramsey, offensive line is still the bigger need. Because who's going to protect Tua? I think I just, yeah, that's about it for that. Um, he's got Colston Loveland going to Michigan. I think the consensus is the Colts need a tight end. Uh, and so I personally think Warren is going to fall to him, but hey, man, as yet to be seen. You got Mike Green, Edge, Falcons. Don't hate it. Like I said before, Edge is also another position of need for the Falcons. So there's that. Jihad Campbell to the Cardinals. You know, I can see it. I can see it. Get that linebacker core up, and I mean, I did choose a linebacker, so it's like, why not? Got to beef up that defense. Picked offense the first 2 years. He got Blackie Starks to the Bengals. I could see it. I could see it. You know, I think, like I was saying before, you could choose anybody and on defense, and I'd be like, that's a great pick because the Bengals are just so awful and abysmal at defense. So, hey, my Lucky Starks could be the guy that turns it around for the Bengals secondary. Then you got Shamar Stewart to the Seahawks. Um, Low key, I mean, yeah, I guess you could pair him up with that other fool from Seattle, the other edge guy. So I would think you go off, but that's just me, man. That's just me. You go maybe in the trenches for the Seahawks, but this guy's a Niners fan. He's biased, so of course he's gonna pick something for the Seahawks that makes him look bad. You got to keep that in mind here, y'all. But I don't hate it. I just think you could go. It's better to go offensive line with that pick. I don't see the Seahawks going defense. Jalon Walker, linebacker, Georgia to Tampa Bay. I love that pick. Honestly, I feel like the Bucks can cook at linebacker. Like whoever the Bucks choose, I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's gonna be a good pick, just because they got a good track record of developing good linebackers. He also has Hampton to the. Hold the fuck up! Wait, 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 wait. You got Kelvin Banks to the fucking Steelers, bro. What? What? You have a. All right, bro. I don't think I need to see the rest of this list, bro. All right, bro. We fucking dude. We don't need another tackle. What do you mean? We don't need another tackle. We have Roderick Jones and Troy Fontanu. And yes, they haven't been healthy. And yes, our offensive line coach has CTE and it would rather fucking make our guys well rounded rather than specializing. But I'm sorry, but if we pick a tackle, I'm done being a Pittsburgh fan. Like that is genuinely like a stupid pick. No way. Absolutely no way we go offensive line. See, you could have chose D line or edge, and I would have been like, "Hey, I could see that because we might not have TJ, but no fucking tackle. Get out of here, bro." All right, Chargers, Luther. Okay, he cooked there. See, he brought. Hey, he cooked. Cause listen, I was saying the same thing. You get Luther Burden, you pair up with Justin Herbert. So, see, I like that pick. Chargers pick was very nice. Then you got Michael Williams, edge. I think Green Bay needs a corner more, but edge could be. Tackle, ah, I don't know, man. I think a running back. I think somebody to pair along Aaron Jones is better for the Vikings there. Oh, he got okay. So I don't hate. Listen, with the Texans going a wide receiver, I don't hate it, especially Matthew Golden. I just think they need a tackle because Laramie Tunsil, like, see, they at least addressed the wide receiver need with Christian Kirk. Now, whether it's an exact replicate replacement has yet to be seen, but they at least attempted to address it. They still haven't done shit about Laramie Tunsil, so I still think Texans take a tackle to address that need. LA going Josh Simmons. I don't hate it. I just think they go defense. I think they just go defense. That's just been the formula for the Rams. And then the Ravens going edge with Pierce Jr. Yeah, I could see him going with an edge guy. If it's going to be James Pierce Jr. has yet to be seen. I don't know. I think they could go for like a Donovan personally. I think he might fit better with the Ravens system, and I think Pierce could be more of like with the Lions. So I would switch those two. Um, let's see. Washington, he's got Nick Scorton. I don't, I don't know. It could work out fine. Obviously, he has Michael going to the Green Bay, but if Michael was still on my board, I think he's like the perfect fit for Washington in that Dan Quinn culture fit. So I mean, he got the need right. I still agree they need an edge. So I can't hate the pick. And obviously, in his board, Michael went first. So not bad. Kenneth Grant to the Bills. Honestly, that's a fire pick. You got Tyler Booker going to the Kansas City. I actually like that pick too. Doesn't hurt to go guard or anybody in the trenches. I had him going tackle, but honestly, guard, yeah, is fine too. So that's really solid. And he had Booker falling to them. I had Booker going earlier, so that's why I didn't have him. But in this board, it makes sense. I like that pick. And then he also has Emeka, so This is interesting because two people already have already got Eagles going wide receiver. So I'm guessing the consensus is like the Eagles are looking to move on from AJ Brown's contract soon, man, and that's why they're looking towards the future. So I would have thought they gone cornerback, but that's just me. That's just me. But anyways, I think that's about it for these mock drafts. Overall, I think that wasn't bad. I think he had some nice cooks on this draft for sure. Like for example, um, I like the Panthers pick. Genty's also a good one. Jets pick could be interesting. Um, Honestly, the Cardinals pick was pretty fire for him, and Chargers pick was a nice one too. Yeah. Outside of that, though, I gotta be honest. Some of these are fucking questionable. Like, holy smokes, Kelvin Banks Jr. is or not. No, under no circumstances are we buying or not buying. We are choosing a offensive line. Like, I am so confident to say this. I'm gonna call my shot right now. There is literally zero, and I mean 0% chance that we are gonna choose an offensive line in the first round. Zero. Zero. I will bet on that. But anyways, in terms of my other boys pick, honestly, it wasn't bad. I I don't hate it. Like a lot of his picks was pretty nice. Obviously the Shador one a pick is gonna be interesting because he's got to assume that nobody's gonna trade up and that the Saints are gonna go with wide receiver, which I hope they do. But I was just trying to be a little realistic too. Like, I'm probably gonna go Shador. But anyways, that's enough of mock drafts. But let me know in the comments how you guys felt. You think I cooked with my mock draft? And if not, what would you do differently? Or who would you choose in your top five? Or who would you substitute? Let us know. And also, let us know how my boys did. Did they cook with their mock drafts? Are you guys also feeling a certain way? For example, that abysmal Steelers pick in one of my boys' mock draft going offensive line. Let us know in the comments below.